The Detroit Lions just made a roster shakeup, surprising everyone. It just happened, and it's already dominating the conversation among Detroit fans. The team announced an unexpected sequence of moves that promises to have a direct impact on the coming weeks of the season. Giovanni Manu was placed on the injured list, 2 players were released, and 3 others were signed to the active roster. And the most curious thing, all of this happens on the eve of the away game against the mighty Kansas City Chiefs, a matchup that could redefine the Lions' season momentum. And that doesn't stop there. We'll update you with some big news about reinforcements for the Detroit Lions that will surprise all fans. So stay tuned until the end of this update. Before we tell you all the details and explain the real reason behind these changes, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This really helps our work and ensures you don't miss any updates about the Lions. Also, support the channel with a contribution by accessing the QR code on the video screen. Show your support for our work. We'll keep fans updated. Now, let's understand what's behind this veritable domino effect in Detroit. Giovanni Manu, who had been a key player in the offensive line rotation, was placed on injured reserve after appearing in the week's medical report with a knee injury. This means he's out for at least the next 4 games, and his absence creates a significant gap in Jared Goff's protection. To compensate, the Lions had to make quick moves. The team released center Kingsley Eguakun and defensive lineman Chris Smith, freeing up space for new additions. In corresponding moves, Detroit brought in safety Eric Hallett, defensive lineman Quinton Jefferson, and cornerback Nick Whiteside, 3 players who were expected to bolster areas that had been plagued by injuries and inconsistencies. These changes aren't simple adjustments. They're clear signs that Dan Campbell and his staff are preparing a direct response to the difficulties the team has faced in recent weeks, especially on defense and the offensive line. And it didn't stop there. The Lions also announced 2 practice squad promotions, promoting cornerback Arthur Mallett and offensive lineman Devin Cochran. These moves show that Detroit is trying to maintain as much depth as possible, especially at a critical juncture in the season. However, the price of this reorganization is high. 3 players were demoted, and 7 are officially out for the game against the Chiefs. In other words, the team travels to Kansas City with a patched-together defense, a revamped offensive line, and the need to improvise on the field. When asked about integrating so many new players in such a short time, Dan Campbell was blunt. "You do the best you can. All these guys have already gotten defensive reps, even the ones on the practice squad. They know the plan, they know what they need to do. That's the hand we're dealt, and we better be ready." With the defense being rebuilt in record time, the big question arises: how to maintain unity and chemistry on the field. Campbell admitted that with so many changes, the team may need to simplify the defensive scheme a bit, allowing everyone to feel comfortable and avoid mistakes. "The most important thing is that we're all on the same page," the coach explained. "You can reduce stress by simplifying things, but there's a risk of becoming predictable. It's a difficult balance, but we'll be ready." This comment demonstrates a pragmatic mindset, the kind Dan Campbell has been imbuing since the beginning of his Detroit era. The focus now is tactical survival and adaptation. And as if facing their own internal problems weren't enough, this weekend's challenge is daunting. Their opponent is the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes and defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, one of the most respected in the league. Campbell was full of praise. "Spags is exceptional. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. They've been together a long time. They've seen it all." He also highlighted Bolton, the Chiefs linebacker and defensive leader, as a key player for the opponent. "Bolton controls everything. They're always on the same page. They know exactly what you do best and will try to take it away from you." In other words, Campbell knows he's about to face a defense that studies its opponent in every detail. The truth is, this game against the Chiefs could be a turning point for the Lions. A victory, even with a patchwork roster full of improvisations, would reinforce the image of a resilient and mentally strong team. But a loss would expose the weaknesses of a group still seeking stability amid so many changes. What's at stake isn't just a result, but the squad's confidence and control of the season's narrative. Detroit decided to take action, shake things up, and send a clear message: no one will settle here. The question now is, will this new lineup hold up against Mahomes and company? What do you think, Lions fans? Leave your opinion in the comments. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any details of this electrifying season.
The Detroit Lions have just received news that completely changes the front office's plans, and fans are already beginning to feel the weight of this change. The name that was at the top of the team's wish list to bolster the secondary has simply left the market. Yes, Cleveland Browns cornerback Greg Newsome II, who was considered a perfect trade target, was traded, but not to Detroit. And the outcome of this trade took everyone by surprise, including within the NFL itself. Before I tell you who took Newsome and what this means for the Lions' future, leave a like. ESPN sources, through reporter Adam Schefter, confirmed that the Cleveland Browns traded Greg Newsome II and a 2026 sixth-round draft pick originally held by the New York Jets for Jacksonville Jaguars cornerback Tyson Campbell, along with the 2026 seventh-round pick held by the Philadelphia Eagles. The trade caught fans by surprise because Newsome was in the final year of his contract and therefore was considered a perfect trade target for teams like the Lions, looking to bolster the cornerback position without compromising the salary cap. But what few expected was that the Browns would decide to act so soon in a bold and risky move, bringing to Cleveland a player under contract through 2028 with an average annual contract of over $19 million. This move is curious and reveals a lot about the current state of both teams. Cleveland is clearly betting that Tyson Campbell could be the future of the position, even with the high cost it could entail in the long run. The Jaguars, with a 4-1 record so far, seem to be looking for more financial flexibility and a better fit with the new defensive scheme under Liam Cohen. Campbell's departure frees up cap space for Jacksonville and also brings in a talented young player like Newsome, who can adapt quickly to the system and provide stability for a defense that has already excelled this season. But for the Lions, the trade comes as a shock. Fans were hopeful, rumors were rife, and Newsome's name was seen as one of the most realistic options to bolster a secondary plagued by injuries and inconsistency. DJ Reed and rookie Terrion Arnold are out, and while Reed is expected to return in Week 10 against the Commanders, Arnold's situation remains shrouded in mystery. In a matter of hours, he went from a possible extended absence to a chance to return later this month. Dan Campbell, as usual, prefers to remain silent and evaluate the player's progress day by day. Still, the mere fact that Arnold wasn't placed on the injured list shows that the team is trying to keep all options open. Meanwhile, the front office is trying to find emergency solutions. Veteran Trey Flowers has been getting more snaps, and Arthur Maulet was recently added to the practice squad, suggesting that Brad Holmes' plan may be to ride out the storm until the starters return. Even if Detroit had genuine interest in Newsome, matching the Jaguars' offer would be nearly impossible, as Jacksonville surrendered not only a draft pick but also a starting cornerback with a long contract, something the Lions are unlikely to do at this point. This decision reinforces Detroit's dilemma: act now and risk compromising the future, or trust that the current roster can adjust and endure until the injured players return. Judging by the coaching staff's latest statements, it seems the choice will be patience. However, with the tough stretch of games looming, the margin for error is slim. The defense will need to find quick answers, and perhaps someone within the roster, like Alquad and Muhammad did in the pass rush, will take on an unexpectedly prominent role in the secondary. On one side, Browns fans celebrate the arrival of a solid cornerback. On the other, Lions fans watch another opportunity slip through their fingers. The feeling is clear. Detroit is teetering on the edge between optimism and frustration, and with the trade deadline approaching, set for November 2nd, everything could change at any moment. The clock is ticking, and Brad Holmes knows that every second could be decisive for the future of the franchise. Thanks for watching today's update. Until next time.